News Hour at 9. Co-powered by Magic Moments Music Studio, Sensodyne, Amstrad and JK Tyre.
Well, pictures, Navika, of the Ranbir-Alia wedding. No one expected the groom to come out and sweep the bride off her feet. Literally fairy tale stuff.
Absolutely. And if you believe in love stories, like many people I think sure do, because social media is full of the flurry of activity of the Ranbir-Alia wedding. But yes, 5 years dating and then a marriage ceremony happening at home, and the bride and the groom come down just to say their hellos and take the blessings of the waiting media. I think, I don't know what to say, damn cute. Would you say that?
Absolutely. Well, look, I'll leave you to NewsHour. Of course,
but
we are going to be...
Before you go,
yes.
I just want to tell you a small little nugget. Couple of years ago, I think 2019, when I met Neetu Kapoor and Rishi Kapoor in New York, I just casually off record asked them this question of what was happening with Ranbir and Alia. Rishi Kapoor, who must be up there smiling somewhere, actually said that the boy actually says and discusses these things with the mother. So the mother is the person you should speak to. And when I asked her, she just smiled, and the smile really said it all. And today, that wedding, we can only say, may they live happily ever after.
When Rishi Kapoor went too soon, he would have wanted to be here, of course, and I'm sure that the family would have wanted him to be there also gracing this occasion. Well, we'll be, of course, turning the mood in the NewsHour.
Back to serious stuff, and ladies and gentlemen, we here on Times Now have been bringing you 4 days ago what happened in Khargone in Madhya Pradesh. Hundreds of innocents came under attack from an angry, unhinged mob. A Ram Navami procession was the first point of target, but like in any conflict, there is collateral damage, and here too, innocent bystanders came under a constant volley of stones, sticks, and even bullets in some cases. Tonight on the NewsHour, I want to show you 6 pieces of evidence that tell you how riots were planned, provoked, and executed. The first video that we have access busts the narrative that people went past a mosque and provoked those inside. Look at this video on your screens, ladies and gentlemen. A house was pelted with stones by a mob, attacked by wooden sticks. What was the fault of the people in that house? Nobody asked, nobody thought, nobody considered. Did they pass a mosque and provoke anyone? Why was this house targeted? People sitting peacefully inside their homes were being pelted and attacked. Here is now the second video proof. You can see a rioter not just pelting stones, but even brandishing a sword. If this was a spontaneous reaction to provocation, then where did the swords come from? That points to preparedness and planning. Open threats were being issued, threats which should not be made in any civilized society or civilized world, and that's why I won't broadcast the sound here for you. But take a look at the arson. Petrol bombs to Molotov cocktails being thrown at homes, scaring those inside with their lives. On to evidence number 4. This is the video that shows a procession gathered in an open area going about their business daily as they do, when suddenly from one side the stone pelting began. Times Now has learned that the pelting started from outside a mosque in the vicinity. Take a look at this report from that very spot.
10 तारीख को शाम को जब रामनवमी का जो जुलूस निकल रहा था, उसके बाद कैसे हिंसा भड़क गई, इसकी सच्चाई अब निकलकर सामने आ रही है। तमाम सोशल मीडिया पर वीडियो वायरल हो रहे हैं, लेकिन पहला हिंसा का पत्थर कहां से आया? प्रोसेसर निकल रहा था रामनवमी का, उस दौरान लेकिन यहाँ इसी चौक पर पत्थर आए, कैसे आए, कहाँ से आए, वो भी हम आपको अभी दिखाएंगे कि ये जो तालाब चौक है ये मस्जिद है और मस्जिद के पास में ही ये गली है और यहाँ से पत्थर लगातार आए और ये जो चौक है जो वीडियो में हमने आपको दिखाया अभी कैमरे में, इसी चौक से वो प्रोसेसन निकल रहा था। उसी दौरान भीड़ पर कहीं से पथराव आया। जो हिंसा शुरू हुई वो यहीं से शुरू हुई और उसके बाद तमाम हिंसक घटनाएं शहर के तमाम इलाकों से आना शुरू हो गई थी।
The state administration started to track down the accused and bring them to book. These are the visuals from the Khargone village, 60 kilometers from the site of violence. This is where those accused of violence had fled to, seeking to hide from the law. And when the police went to arrest them, even the men in uniform were not spared. The evidence of it all is on your screens. Ladies and gentlemen, what happens when an attack is a reaction? There is a provocateur and there are those who are at the receiving end, caught completely unawares. Watch this very closely. Hundreds of men with lathis roaming on the streets, throwing stones as they march on and aiming for houses and windows. For the last few days, we have been showing you evidence after evidence to show that the Khargone violence, much like the violence in Karoli, was anything but spontaneous. I showed you the visual evidence and how now I want you to hear the testimonies of the victims of these unprovoked rampage. Listen in. I have put out the facts before you. And ladies and gentlemen, now I want to ask the legitimate question. Is there a bid to suppress Khargone truth? That's the question we're asking on the NewsHour. And that's the debate coming up on the other side. Khargone unseen videos, that's the hashtag and the debate on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
And joining me this evening on the NewsHour, Sanju Verma, spokesperson of the BJP, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author, professor. Also joining us this evening is Lokesh Jindal, Congress leader, and Tauseefur Rehman, political analyst. My first question going out to Dr. Anand Ranganathan. And Dr. Anand Ranganathan, I want to ask you, Karoli had one narrative, we put out the evidence, and the main accused, the mastermind, still absconding. And then comes Khargone, where everybody wanted to depict that there was a government that was totally out of control. Bulldozers had come out and there was no reason for them. Today, these 6 videos, don't they actually expose that this provocation versus reaction theory that has been put out by those trying to create a narrative that Muslims are not safe in India? Doesn't this bust their claims completely today?
Good evening, Navika, and good evening to all my fellow panelists. There are 3 issues here. First of all, I must congratulate you and your whole team for carrying out this painstaking investigation. It is very important. And it is also very important because, to the best of my knowledge, no other media house is actually doing this. And what happens is that many media houses feel that, hey, even if we don't report it, we don't have any reporters on the ground, let us ignore this so that in years to come, it will only be reported as Muslims were persecuted and Hindus weren't persecuted at all. So thank you for this investigation, bringing the truth out. It is not that one must be biased towards one particular community. It is that one must bring the truth out. And these videos make it amply clear, Navika, as you showed, this was most likely a pre-planned conspiracy. You do not spontaneously erupt carrying swords. And by the way, there is another video, Navika, that in fact is one among your videos where, rather alarmingly, the mob, Muslim mob, after torching a Hindu temple, is saying, "Aao rape kare." I don't know whether you've seen that video. It's absolutely detestable what has gone on in Khargone. The perpetrators must be punished. But here I have to say this, and I'm sure Ms. Sanju Verma, the BJP spokesman, will have something to say, but I have to say it. What happens is, in most of these cases, and you've seen it in the last 2 or 3 days, the narrative has shifted. to Muslim persecution, Muslim genocide. It is like children of Goebbels, you know. Like Goebbels said, the first rule of propaganda is you accuse the other person of what you are guilty of. It is unbelievable. Here was a peaceful procession going about its business on the most auspicious of Hindu Day. And stone pelting, petrol bombing, sword carrying, all those horrible words being uttered. And Muslims are being persecuted. But I have to ask this, and again, Ms. Sanju Verma, in all honesty, would of course reply to this, that, partly the blame also must go to the BJP for this narrative shifting. The victimhood card has come out because some houses have been bulldozed, and some of those houses are illegal. Most of them are illegal, but some of them were legal as well. One of them was actually under the PM Awas Vikas Yojana. Now, when the families are also being punished, it is quite logical from the other side to say that, look, we are the victims here. So, at the end of the day, and if the matter goes to court, as Mr. Karthik Tanna, a lawyer, has also said, it might be that the BJP, the government, would have to construct two houses, one to give free houses and the other to remake these houses. So what was the point of this? The narrative has completely shifted. And the Hindus who've been persecuted, Shivam who lies in the hospital, what of him? I'm afraid what happened in Kashmir 32 years ago, what happened in Kairana 5 years ago, is going to happen in Khargone even today.
Well, I want to ask Mr. Lokesh Jindal. Mr. Lokesh Jindal, just one narrative that Muslims are under threat. I don't carry an agenda to say that, minorities should not be protected and they are bad people. Of course not. That's not the point. But my point is, when there is something that has happened, to try and color it in a sense to say that minorities are persecuted and it is the Hindus who are the perpetrators of atrocities on minorities, it's not fair. It's not fair to that community either. The fact is that these videos tell you a tale of how provocation is not the issue here. There is no provocation, because if it was provocation, it would be spontaneous. People would pelt stones at most. Where did Shivam get hit with a bullet? Where did Shivam get hit with the bullet? After all, those swords on those videos on your screens actually tell you the tale of how they came prepared with a premeditated way of creating a ruckus. And in a ruckus of this kind, in mayhem of this kind, things happen which then go out of your control. Lokesh Jindal, I want to ask you, why paint only one side of the story? Why not be truthful and balanced when you make charges?
Good evening, Navika. I think I had some network issue. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Yes, Navika, I had been hearing to what Dr. Anand Ranganathan had been saying. But then I would like to bring to the focus that whatever we have been presenting, it suffers from a general fallacy. I believe there is a confirmation bias that is being seen, and there is a fallacy of mixing correlation along with causation. Now, let me just bring out certain facts. As per the police manual, now there is an important cause and effect relationship between deviance and criminality. Now, the government's policy, since the time it has come to power, especially the BJP, has been holding Muslims responsible for even spread of COVID. I mean, there was the Markaz incident. Then we come up with Anti-Citizenship Amendment Act, Kashmir Files, Azan Law, Hilal Law, Hijab Law, and a form of a secondary status is given to the Muslims. Now, the problem is, when you create such a form of a social divide, it leads to latent social tension between two communities. I won't say Hindus or Muslim, I would simply say that there's a social tension between two communities, and this needs only slight provocation. And that is what is happening. What is required over here are steps taken so as to reduce alienation, marginalization, and to make them the same organ, give them an equal status.
Are those swords?
Now, please tell me.
Are those swords and stone pelting signs of an alienated, community?
Yes.
Are those?
Yes.
Are those?
Yes, absolutely.
And are you saying these new social tensions have begun now? Have you seen the riot history of the Congress regime in this country? Mr. Lokesh Jindal, that is the problem. That is the problem with the narrative that the Congress party and other people, I will not single out the Congress party, but there is an ecosystem that the Prime Minister often refers to, that there is this narrative that is being said कि ये अभी हुआ शुरू. This started only now, and Sanju Verma, don't you think these videos bust that theory completely out of the ground? They've blown the lid on what was being peddled as a narrative to this country.
You know, Navika, as Anand Ranganathan said, first and foremost, I think congratulations to Times Now for consistently, incessantly, and persistently showcasing the truth behind the Khargone Violence, Karoli, and even, recently the Gorakhnath temple incident. First and foremost, quickly I will, point to the fact that this allegation that, Muslims are being marginalized since 2014, ever since Narendra Modi stormed to power, because that is what the Congress representative just insinuated. I personally believe, Navika, data does not lie, and your channel has put out this data, quite repeatedly. I will just, for the benefit of your audience, say 31% of the houses in the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana have been built for Muslims. 33% of the corpus of Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana has been allocated to Muslims. 36% of the corpus of Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, the beneficiaries are Muslims. 37% of the beneficiaries of Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana are also Muslims. So basically, anywhere between 31 to 37% of Modi government's biggest and most popular welfare schemes, who are the beneficiaries? It is the Muslim community. So the fact of the matter is, Muslims are not marginalized of imagination whatsoever. Point number two, coming to what Mr. Ranganathan pointed out about narrative. I do admit that there is a war of narrative, and you win some and you lose some. But without batting an eyelid, I say this not with overconfidence, I say this with confidence. God, you have Narendra Modi at the helm. Thank God the BJP is in power for 8 years. At least it took 32 years, but we called out the bluff of radicalized Islamists. And today the truth is out that there was indeed a genocide in Kashmir in 1990. Today, we don't call the Mopla genocide as a peasant uprising. Last year, the history book said it was not a peasant uprising. It was a genocide where more than 10,000 Hindus were killed. Thank God that we have Narendra Modi in power. May I please finish? I did not interrupt you. Thank God we have Narendra Modi in power. Today, we do realize that what happened on 12th December 1785, when the court were culled out from Madikeri, 90,000 Kodavas were butchered and more than 2 lakh were taken, captive, their women raped, their children maimed and killed. So I think it takes time to undo the damage caused by teaching wrong history to generations, which happened under successive Congress dispensations. The Modi government is undoing the damage. I think people like Navika Kumar, people like Anand Ranganathan, people like Sanju Verma, channels like Times Now, we are all doing a fair bit.
Lokesh Jindal, your entire theory that, there is alienation, the statistics, and I have shown you these statistics time and again. If the overall percentage of minorities in this country is a certain number, then the percentage of the benefits that go to those minorities under various schemes is, way above that number. So the question, Lokesh Jindal, is why are you fixing a narrative which tries to point towards a picture and paint a picture of India as if there are human rights violations that are done by this horrible majority of Hindus, which were called by the Congress party, Hindu terror, and these terrorists live in this country. Do you think you are painting a totally wrong and negative picture of the majority community in this country? Let me ask you the other way around. Are Hindus being persecuted by the Congress party?
Okay, please enlighten me as to why did the US representative Ilhan Omar warn that the Modi regime is criminalizing the act of being a Muslim in India? Please enlighten me. Please enlighten me.
Fantastic.
A congresswoman
Fantastic.
no, please enlighten me.
Replay April 2021. Rahul Gandhi sitting at a discussion at the Harvard University with Nicholas Burns saying, we are so dead and dying in India. Why doesn't the United States of America come to our rescue? Why don't they save us? We are so marginalized in this country. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, the crybabies believe America more than they believe India. How nice is that, and how nationalistic is that, and how real and true is that?
No, Navika, just 10 seconds. It won't take long. Lokesh, it's not fair. I mean, can I please rebut just on that limited point of Mr. Lokesh Jindal, my good friend? I mean, he could have mentioned or quoted anyone, but he chose to quote a rabid Islamist, Ms. Omar, as the the paragon of virtue and correctness. Mr. Jindal, this is the same representative who refused to say that the Armenian genocide, where 1.5 million Armenians were butchered by the Turks, she refused to call it a genocide. Or
let me quote someone else.
I mean, no, but can you please
if you want to quote someone else, then first admit that the example that you picked up was wrong. You are not only misinformed, you don't know the background, but you pick up any statement blindly just to paint a wrong and a bad picture for India. First admit that before you pick up another example.
Absolutely not. No.
Then why are you shifting your example?
I don't mind if you quote Hafiz Saeed.
What about United Nations Human Rights?
Anand Ranganathan, एक गलत हो गया, थोड़ा misfire हो गया. Now second chance. Compartment exam. Compartment test दे दो इनको.
There are many more to come.
No. Many more to come. Why? You're feeding them from here. Are you making a booklet just like Rahul Gandhi's statements to Imran Khan for the United Nations? Are you making other booklets to be circulated in other countries as well?
Ilan, not me.
No, look,
you asked me for some other support. I presented it to you.
No, please. Lokesh, just 10 seconds more. Now that I've got you on the mat, can I also please continue till the bell rings?
Okay, fine.
Has Rahul Gandhi ever condemned the internment of 1.5 million Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps where they are being forced to eat pork, drink alcohol and mass sterilized? Yes or no, Lokesh? Aaj doodh ka doodh, pani ka pani kar hi do.
But what has Rahul Gandhi got to do with this condemnation? Please enlighten me.
No, do you as a Congress party, as Rahul Gandhi, as anyone from the Congress, do you condemn China for this internment of 1.5 million Uyghur Muslims in concentration camps?
Listen, we have a Panchasheel Act with China which calls for non-interference, mutual respect, peaceful coexistence. Now it is your
fantastic. You will not interfere in China. You will not interfere in the affairs of China and what's happening to the Muslims there, because Muslims of China are of no use to you. Muslims in India make you this big poster boys of secularism, the funny definition of secularism that you want to propagate. Sanju Verma, you want to respond to Lokesh Jindal?
What is the definition of secularism then? Please tell.
Not interrupt you, please. I did not interrupt you. I'll take a shot twice. I think one very important thing, Navika, which I want to point out, the fact that Ilhan Omar is a rabid, Hindu phobe and an Islamofascist is well known. The tweet that she wrote at 1:42 a.m. 26th May 2019, she says PM Modi's rule in India has corresponded with the uprising of violent Hindu nationalism and the spread of hatred against Muslims. So, to like to educate some other Hindu folks. And Lokesh, you have to hear this because you say the be it the Hashimpura riots, be it the Bhagalpur riots of 1989, be it the Aligarh riots of 2006, be it the Dhule riots of 2008, be it the Deganga riots in North 24 Parganas 2010, be it the Kokrajhar riots in Assam in 2012, be it the Muzaffarnagar riots in 2013. All these riots happened under the watch of sleeping Congress governments. They were caught sleeping at the wheel. Number one, you have not painted yourself in glory as far as this Hindu-Muslim, unity goes. You have done more to polarize Hindus and Muslims than any dispensation in post-independent India.
Well, so let me get in Tauseefur Rehman. Tauseef, 1 minute, Lokesh Jindal. Lokesh, please, 1 minute. 1 minute. I'm getting in Tauseefur Rehman. Tauseefur Rehman. The videos tell you a story of what really transpired in Khargone. And that is definitely not a picture of spontaneous conflict or confrontations that happened. Swords are not carried in people's hands just like that unless people are preparing for such a confrontation. And there is no provocation. There are people pelting stones on people sitting inside homes. Where did the confrontation happen? Where did the provocation happen, Tauseefur Rehman? I just want to ask you this question. Why is a fake narrative being peddled in this country?
Good evening, Navika, and good evening to everyone. Well, I will start with when I heard Mr. Ranganathan when he said, like many houses were illegal back in Madhya Pradesh. And then this topic came, it's a fake narrative that the Muslims are not safe. And then Hindus were attacked, Muslim provoked Hindu. But I want to ask Navika, like not exactly you because you're a journalist, you have to be neutral. But why to paint one side of the story when you said, exactly this is my question. When people were dancing on top of the mosque, now tell me which video to believe. I mean, now you are targeting the Congress or the Muslims, or you just want to say the Congress provoked the minorities to attack Ram Navami and those volunteers. The whole thing is very sad. I don't want to talk about Congress, I don't want to talk about those volunteers who are there in Ram Navami. Then again, it's a new narrative which I'm hearing that then Ram Navami cannot be passed from a sensitive area. Now, sensitive area is a code word like Muslim areas. Why not? Any festival, any rally can pass from anywhere. And before 2014, we never heard about all this, that there's some drama going on where the Ram Navami is getting disturbed, or the Durga Puja is getting disturbed, or the Kali Puja is getting disturbed, or the Sehri or the Ramzan or the Iftar or the Eid is getting disturbed in any area, whether it's a Hindu area or it's a Muslim area. But it's very sad, Navika, where people are playing just one side of the video where the stone pelting is happening. Why can't we show, or why can't we have some videos where you or your media or any media house can go and talk to those minorities, 15.5% of India, and ask them what exactly happened.
If there are those videos, I have invited many people on the show and I've said that these are some videos that we have accessed absolutely spontaneously, that have been accessed.
Yes,
if there are other videos, please show them to us. If there is other evidence, either show them to us or give it to the police. If there are such videos of Hindus desecrating any Muslim worship position, please give it to file an FIR, go to the police, register your complaint, and I will show those too. I will show those too. My point is that in Karoli, we showed you the videos, and I speak only on the evidence available. In Karoli, there is a Congress government. The evidence of
Because
the
that
videos.
evidence-
1
because that
minute.
evidence
Now
is with
hold
you,
on.
ma'am.
You've asked a question.
Navika
Now
ji.
have the patience to listen
No,
to
no,
my
that
answer.
evidence is with you. We have
So
some evidence as well.
Karoli videos, I will show you.
Okay.
The police, bystanders, the local councillor walking around. There are people in masks around him. He is instructing them. He is instructing people on the phone. He has bricks, sticks, everything on his roof of his terrace of his house. He has petrol bombs there, and the guy is absconding. His name is Matloob Ahmed. Congress government. The man is absconding for 13 days. Should we not ask a question? Should we not ask a question? People are leaving Karoli.
So just-
Hindus are leaving Karoli.
Navika ji.
We should not ask a question? Do we not deserve to ask a question? आपको लगता है कि Muslims are under attack in
course you
India.
deserve.
What
Of
about
course you
Hindus in Karoli? What about Hindus in Karoli? Will you not raise that question? You have a counter
Ma'am, you
evidence,
have to-
please show it.
No, you have to let me speak. First of all, I have the evidence, I will show it to you. And first of all, I want to ask you, as you're such a senior journalist, I want to know who are these people who want to paint black and white against the Hindus? And who are these people who are coming out with Ram Navami?
You tell
because
me.
I have seen four rallies in Ram Navami
when it
where all
is
the communities
a
were
Twitter
together.
trend and
All the communities were
Pakistan,
together. The Muslim and
Turkish
the Hindus were
handles are
together.
promoting
They were distributing sharbat.
Muslims
They were
under
distributing
attack
juice and
in
mineral
India.
waters
Indian
to my
Muslims
brothers
under attack.
who were
If it
going on Ram
trends for
Navami.
2 days, who is doing it? Why are people
Navika.
in India propagating a tweet
want to know
which
that.
is originating from Pakistan, Turkey and Afghanistan? Tell me.
Who?
Navika, can I come in, please?
Yes,
Because my
Dr.
name was
Anand
taken.
Ranganathan.
Ma'am,
Many
I am not
questions
concerned-
Tauseefur
I am not
Rehman
concerned
has.
about Pakistan, China,
you know,
Nepal.
tell
Yes,
him.
no, Mr. Rehman,
Ma'am, I am
heard
not
you
concerned
silently. I did
about
not
Chinese
interrupt you.
Muslims, Nepal
I
Muslims,
did not interrupt you.
or anyone.
Can I please continue? Now, Navika, the 2 points here.
I'm not being
Now,
able to
Mr. Rehman,
yes,
surprisingly,
yes.
Mr. Rehman started his narrative in a very tempered fashion, but बीच में गड़बड़ा गए और कह दिया जो मुंह में था कि 2014 से पहले ऐसा कुछ होता ही नहीं था. अगर आप NCRB का डेटा देखें तो 1970s, 1980s में 1,100,000 communal disturbances होती थी. अब 50,000 होती हैं. They've actually come down. ये
इतनी
10-15
नफरतें थी.
साल का किस्सा नहीं है. Now please
इतनी
don't interrupt
नफरतें
me.
थी. You
शायद-
tell me so much
Please don't
hatred.
interrupt me.
शायद
don't
आपकी
interrupt
उम्र
me.
उतनी नहीं
Please
है, आपको शायद
हाँ, हो
डेटा
सकता-
भी पढ़ना नहीं आता. अगर पढ़ लेते तो पता चल जाता.
नहीं, by that logic, उम्र के लॉजिक की तो आप कहेंगे कि भाई आप 600
You let
साल
me
पुराने
speak,
नहीं
I
हैं,
will
तो आप
give you all the data.
न्यूटन के
Navika
लॉज भी मत याद करें क्योंकि आप 400 साल 600 साल पुराने नहीं है. नाविका बोल दैट लॉजिक डजंट होल्ड. नंबर 2, मैं मिस्टर रहमान से सिर्फ एक पॉइंट पूछना चाहता हूं कि 2018 में उसी जगह खरगांव में जहां पे वायलेंस
Yes, sir.
हुआ है, वहां पे मुस्लिम प्रोसेशन जा रहा था, हिंदू टेंपल के आगे रुका और डीजे ने ये बोला, मैं कोट कर रहा हूं, दीन के गद्दार बुलाऊं क्या अली को, 1000 साल का झगड़ा आज ही खत्म करते हैं, इस पार या उस पार बुलाऊं क्या अली को. एक स्टोन पेल्टिंग नहीं हुई, एक तलवार नहीं निकली. आप मुझे बताइए, आपके उसमें रहमान साहब, क्या ये प्रोवोकेशन थी या नहीं, हां या ना?
नहीं, आप मुझे बोलने दीजिए. I'll explain you.
I'm
You
waiting.
really think that I'm
I'm
against
waiting.
the Hindus? We are celebrating
I'm
Ram
waiting.
Navami in
Was
our
that
place.
provocation or not?
We are celebrating Ram Navami in our place. You know,
Was that
Ranganathan ji, I'll tell you something.
रहमान साहब, simple question था.
No, of course,
Simple question
no
था.
one is supporting that. No one is supporting that. And
तो
no
अब आप
one
मुझे
should
ये
support
बताइए.
that. No one should support that.
Thank you.
कोई
Well
सपोर्ट
said,
नहीं
well
करना
said.
चाहिए. आप
Well
मुझे ये
said.
बताइए, हिंदू को बदनाम
Well
करने
said.
वाला कौन है? हिंदू को बदनाम करने वाला
बदनाम
कौन
करने
है?
वाला?
हिंदू
Who is
टेरर
maligning
किसने
the image of the
बनाया?
Hindus?
हिंदू
I know one
टेरर
Hindu.
किसने बनाया?
I know one
करने वाला
Hindu
कौन
who
नहीं
stay
है?
with us, who celebrate
ये
with us,
बताइए, हिंदू
who
को
eats
बदनाम
with us.
करने वाला कौन नहीं है? वो गिनाना.
और एक हिंदू वो है जो गेरुआ पहनकर मस्जिदों के ऊपर चढ़ के नाच रहा है. Who are these two kinds of Hindu?
Ask
Now I can
Mr.
see there are two
Lokesh
types of
Jindal,
Hindu.
who
The
knows
one who stays
everything
with us,
about Hindu
eats
and
with us, celebrates with
Hindutva,
us.
and where Rahul Gandhi goes out and says that Hindu is, somebody who follows Hindutva, and Hindutva is something which spreads hate. Ask Rahul Gandhi, who says this in a rally. It's all public domain statements of Mr. Rahul Gandhi. Ask the Congress party, which coined the term Hindu terror. Ask them. Lokesh Jindal, would you want to respond to Tauseef Saab?
Yes, absolutely. The strength of Hinduism was in Syadvad. That is, there is truth in every form. The Hindu philosophy was assimilative.
And that Jai Shri Ram is a war cry? Is that the version of secularism that you follow, Sanju Verma? Jai Shri Ram is a war cry, and that is the secularism definition given by the Congress party?
Any form of radical violence. Sorry, these were some aspects to outside religions, but never Hindu religion. The present BJP government has tarnished this beautiful religion by bringing it down to the level of a radical philosophy.
You made your point.
It has used I have not made my point, madam.
This is not fair. Let me make my point.
Not interfere. Please do not interfere. I do not interfere in your points.
No,
First of all, we are talking about the Gorakhnath Mutt. Then we talk about the Nath Sampradaya. The Nath Sampradaya was meant for salvation. It was not meant for some form of a political power. In fact, the very basis of
so political power is only what Congress wants and the way Congress wants. Yogi Adityanath has no right to political power. That's what Lokesh Jindal wants to say. Sanju Verma, that's what Lokesh Jindal wants to say now.
Lokesh Jindal needs to know one thing. 2006, 2007, 2008, 3 years consecutively, the Congress, Rahul Gandhi in particular, filed a PIL in the Supreme Court saying, Ram Bhagwan to hai hi nahi. Ram ke astitva ki dhajjiyan uda di. Rahul Gandhi questioned the bona fides and veracity on the very existence of Prabhu Ram. Point number 2, you again filed a PIL in the Supreme Court saying, Ram Setu to kabhi tha hi nahi. Ram Setu never existed. Point number 3.
You are all propagandists. You don't know what archaeology. You don't know what history. You only know literature. You only know poetry. Rhetoric. You only know.
Lokesh Jindal, let's not heckle each other. Let's not heckle each other. It's her turn to speak. Learn to listen.
And now, Lokesh Jindal, I hope your Congress leaders are also listening to this. Forget about the fact that you questioned the bona fides of Prabhu Ram. Forget about the fact that you questioned the veracity of Ram Setu. I remember 3 of your leaders in particular. Digvijay Singh, he's a loudmouth, a rabble-rouser. He posted a fake tweet which he had to delete in less than 24 hours in the midst of the Khargone violence. But this is the same Digvijay Singh who, after the horrific 26/11 attacks in Mumbai, said, "Ye RSS ki sazish hai." That, we captured Ajmal Kasab alive. Nahi, aapko ये पूरा का पूरा 26/11 आरएसएस पर इसका टीकड़ा फोड़ने की पूरी साजिश बना ली थी. Then your Sushil Kumar Shinde, ex-Home Minister under the Congress government, he coined the infamous term saffron terror. And do you know what Shashi Tharoor said prior to just the 2019 Lok Sabha election results coming out? He said if Narendra Modi comes back to power, we will see the Talibanization of India and the emergence of Hindu Taliban. To use the word Hindu and Taliban in the same breath, it is the greatest disservice you can do to the Hindu community. So I think as a Congress representative, you are the last person who should be taking the high moral ground and giving any bhaashan to the BJP on political
Absolutely. And tonight, ladies and gentlemen, all I want to say is that this is not the job of us in the media to declare who's guilty and who's not. Evidence speaks for itself. But when a narrative is gone out and painted to state that everything that happened was because there was provocation and there was a reaction, well, these videos and these CCTV footages tell you a different story. The question continues to be asked, and we will continue to raise it again and again and again. I have no issue in saying that everybody in this country, following whichever religion, whether they are Christians, whether they are Muslims, whether they are Sikhs, whether they are Jains, whether they are Buddhists or Hindus, they all are people who are fellow citizens and one amongst us. But if a narrative is made that minorities are being marginalized and they are under attack, then it's time that evidence speaks for itself. That's the evidence Times Now and our team of reporters has dug out. If there is a counter to this evidence, we're waiting to see it. But if there isn't, until it comes out, the fact is this evidence tells a different story, which is not that it was the minorities under attack. It is a fact that there were people sitting in their homes and they were attacked. And it is a fact that in Karoli, in Rajasthan, where the Congress party is in power, there is a man who's been on the run, the mastermind of the confrontations, the violence, the arson and the riots in Karoli. And the man is connected with the Congress party, on the run for the last 13 days. Should we not ask a question, or should we just go with the tide of a narrative that Muslims are under attack in India? Think about it, ladies and gentlemen. Who are those who are painting a narrative that has very little to do with the truth? I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much to my guests for joining me on debate number 1.